If you are a person who's interested in divisional round playoff best ball, have no fear. The Mitten Returns is back once again. $5 entry fee. I've got a draft going right now. Let's waste no time and get right into it. Talk about some strategy. Try to get some Chiefs and Eagles here. And let's start it right now with a man that I do not have a lot of exposure left in the main tournaments, the main playoff best ball tournaments, Jalen Hurts. Let's get him. Let's see what we can do here. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger as well. And also, perhaps hang on throughout the course of this video, because I have actually got my probably, I guess, prototype here, the app that I've been working on the back end here for the last basically 10 months of my life. But we've brokered some good stuff. We should have the actual product out for the Super Bowl. So stay tuned to the end of the stream if you want to check that out. But otherwise, we're doing some best ball quality content. Family-friendly best ball content is what I'm aspiring to. So one day, maybe Disney will buy me. You know, that's really no shot. No shot. See AJ Brown going here. Sam Squanch doing the thing that I think is dumb. If you're going to take two skill position guys early on, I would think they should be from the same conference, because that way you can then get a master stack from the other conference that can make the Super Bowl. And that's sort of the same goals that we've talked about here. If you've been following me throughout these playoff best ball drafts, I try to get 4-3-3s in terms of my stacking. 4 guys from the team that's going to win the Super Bowl, and then 3 players from 2 teams in the opposite conference. So the hope is you keep yourself alive for full rosters with some upside for 2 Super Bowls. That said, the way this draft is going right now, it does feel like we're already going to be scraping for the chafe here, the shitty parts of these lineups, which sucks, because I've seen some pure Philly stacks going around out there. I've seen some Jalen Hurts with AJ Brown, some Devonta Smith, all that stuff. But I'm not going to be getting that today. But I will get the Devonta Smith side of things. And I think, well, let's see what this guy does. But I think there's an obvious strategy I'm seeing here right now. And again, I would just love to get Eagles and Chiefs today if I can, just because of the fact that I do not have a lot of those guys advancing in the main format playoff best ball. A lot of my teams were rewarded by having Dallas Cowboys stacks with guys like Dalton Schultz, also having the Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey duo in a lot of places, as I've talked about, and you guys saw me draft a lot last week. So for this week, I would like to try to hedge against those previous lineups and not just keep building the exact same things. But in this reality, as Dustin is saying here, I will get none of that and like it. Yes, I would have liked to get Jerick McKinnon there. He's off the board, so that's gonna be that one. I guess let's just okay. At this point, normally in drafts, you would think that people in my exact position would probably take Miles Sanders. So let's not. But you know what? If I'm gonna have the Eagles in the Super Bowl, let's just take Miles Sanders. We get different somewhere else, I think. But you could talk me into taking Joe Mixon here. You could talk me into taking maybe a Gabe Davis here to try to be live for a Philly Buffalo Super Bowl. I think that Gabe Davis has a lot of upside in these playoffs, as I've talked about. Certainly a guy that I wasn't afraid of drafting in the main playoff best ball formats here. In this Mitten too, it is worth pointing, or Mitten Returns too. Mitten Returns again. I forget what the exact Underdog branding is. Important to keep in mind that it is less teams advancing per pod. It's only 1 out of the first 6, and then I believe you're in groups of 12 for the next round. So it's not going to be as generous of an advancement format as the original Mittens were. Something to keep in mind if you are hopping in here with another $5 tournament. And I know that people love a good $5 tournament, even though yesterday I was jamming those $25 ones. And I will say that is why I don't draft the big dogs and all that stuff on stream, because when you get stuck with a crappy team and you're paying $25, it's like, ugh. Whereas if I get stuck with a crappy Mitten team, $5, I've wasted that on a lot stupider things. So 25, 250, that's where it starts to get a little bit more of a pain point. Did get my drop, though, from the first round of the playoff best ball here. So we are just shy of 2K on our underdog balance, which feels nice, even though a lot of that's going to be plunged right back into the abyss over these next few weeks and months. All right, let's see what we got on the board here. All right, so we're still live for Cincinnati. We can get the 4-man Philly as well. What does this guy have? He's been deliberately avoiding the Bengals. So let's see if we could put him into a tough position here. Got our Philly 4-man. No AJ Brown. Would be very nice to have AJ Brown here, but obviously wasn't the way the cards were dealt this go round, which is fine. This really feels like in a smaller draft, less teams to go around, really feels like you should be able to get Hurts and AJ Brown and not have to sweat it. But that was not to be the case. And also worth pointing out, this guy taking Josh Allen and Brock Purdy is not going to be a fan favorite rather in this room. People get really tilted if you take 2 QBs in these particular drafts. Obviously, there are only so many left now that it is kind of a dick move to take 2 and take 2 in a row like that. But who am I to say what Mangello does? Oh, man, Jello sounds like a sexual term. I do not want to be a party of. All right. So we lost out. This guy did take Higgins, which makes no sense for his build, but he's doing it. And again, the goal, a lot of people asked this during the last playoff round or when we were doing the main playoff best ball drafts. I don't think the goal is a min cash here. And I think that taking Mixon and Higgins when you've already made a bet on the Chiefs is not the wisest move overall. He's probably going to try to get some NFC guys late, but definitely doesn't look like something where I would be, dying to get to the same spot that guy's in. So that's what Mago does here, or Magoo does here. Hopefully not MAGA. All right. What am I going to do? These teams already are looking like shit. But let's say Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney feels like the worst consolation prize. Like it feels like when you go to a carnival and you end up like, oh man, I got 1,000 tickets. What am I going to get? Or a Dave and Buster's. And it's like, oh, cool. You get one of those sticky hands that you like slap and it sticks to the wall. That's basically how I feel getting Kadarius Toney here. This is not like an alpha Super Bowl stack, but you're getting some form of Eagles Chiefs, so I guess you can't be that mad at it. It is also worth pointing out here. I think I use that as a verbal crutch too much. It is worth pointing out, though, for you guys out there, very unlikely that 2 number 1 seeds make the Super Bowl. Like, it doesn't happen that often. I don't know the exact numbers offhand, but I do recall seeing some RFO articles talk about that. Very low probability for these guys to both make the Super Bowl as the number 1 seed. So something to keep in mind there. Obviously, the new format could change that. Having only one team getting a bye in each conference could theoretically increase the edge a little bit compared to the historical numbers looking at 2 teams having bye weeks. But still feels like a thing that even though the Eagles Chiefs on paper are going to be the highest probability outcome, not the one that you're most likely to see in reality when it actually comes down to it. A lot of M names in this draft. We got Manny, we got Magoo, we got Mangello here. I don't know about this Mangello character. This team, he's taking Giants. Like, this team just makes no sense. This is a team, by the way, like, you look at a team like Mangello's here. This is a team built to advance out of 1 round and not win at all. And that's the kind of thing I would absolutely try to avoid, whether it be Mitten format, whether it be a gauntlet format, any of these really. It's like you do want to have some guys who can help you advance. But as we saw with the wild card round, you want guys to advance kind of as part of a team stack in a way that hopefully doesn't conflict with your main stack. And I think that's the kind of thing that people just kind of miss in this format. And you just have to run up against if you are trying to draft based on a plus EV way. Rick can't stand a 2 to 3 QB builds in the $5 tourneys. I would agree with you. I think it's just a dick move. The issue is it's a $5 tourney. So you have people who are drafting a little bit less smart, a little bit less plus EV. So those are things that end up not being the best for these kind of drafts where it's just people working about themselves and not really thinking about, just, being polite drafters, but also just not thinking about like, oh yeah, this actually doesn't make that much sense because my upside is severely capped by the way that I'm drafting. And you're going to run into it a little bit more in the Mitten. But I will say, honestly, for whatever reason, I've seen a lot more in the gauntlet than I recall seeing last year. Certainly recall seeing in the high dollar best ball stuff in the offseason as well. So I don't know. I think there's a lot more people who have more money to spend on this or willing to spend more money. And if that works out for them or not, I guess we'll find out. Let's take some Cowboys. Let's take a Cowboy or two. Obviously, it'd be nice to build an AFC team, but what are we going to do? McKenzie? I guess we could take Zay Jones. But then we already have Chiefs. So let's do Dalton Schultz. We've got our full Chiefs build for the most part. The assumption would be that Miles Sanders will be our running back in the Super Bowl. Obviously, it would have been nice to get McKinnon early, but we ended up with Miles Sanders instead. I think this is the tough part. I said this yesterday, but I will say it again. I feel like you leave these drafts, and I've never once felt like, oh, my team is the absolute nuts. And I think that's something, too, where I did feel that more in the wild card round drafts where you were able to kind of build a team that had some low late guys like the DK Metcalf's world. Obviously, that guy ends up paying off. But even with the Tyler Lockett build and stuff like that, it did feel like you could make a thing where it's like, oh, I have all the Chiefs or I have all the Bills. And then I'm going to have a couple man stacks, 3-man stacks, let's say, of the Jags, or the Giants, rather, of the Giants, of the Seahawks, all of that. Like, that made sense in the previous rounds. Here, you're just not getting clean stacks of anything unless you wanted to take, like, Jacksonville very early. So that's the kind of thing that I feel like, is kind of an edge to the tournaments. And as much as that, nobody's leaving these drafts feeling great unless you get 5-man stacks of, like, your Super Bowl winning team, theoretically. But even that is, like, I still think narrow margins where you could finish higher if you get 5 guys to the Super Bowl and they're all from one team. But for you to actually win this tournament, you probably need a combination of at least, I would think, 4-1, 3-2, more likely. So that's the kind of thing where I think there is a little bit of a a less joy to go around with how these tournaments feel at the end, where it is just kind of a war of attrition on top of a war of attrition. And as we all saw from best ball all season long, obviously what ends up being the winning lineups at the end and all that stuff, it's all of a war of attrition. But I think it's really magnified when you just have less good plays, less clean stacks, all that stuff. All right, we're back on the clock here. We have Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Kadarius Toney, MVS, and Dalton Schultz. Would have been nice for Zeke to fall, but he did not. I'm honestly just taking Schultz for the possible advancement there. Honestly, Schultz is not going to be a secure play by any stretch this week. Let's see if we could get some Chiefs, or some Bengals, rather. We obviously have Chiefs. It is possible the Bengals and Chiefs could meet in the AFC title game, so that's something that I think gives a little more juice to drafting some of these guys. But Hayden Hurst and P. Ryan goes too. So I don't even get the good. This guy really took everything in a way that makes no sense. And I hate it. Welcome to the Mitten Returns, guys, where everybody snipes everything you think might have some value. All right. I guess, is this a Trenton Irwin lineup? It's too early for Trenton Irwin at this point. Let's just take one bill here. Take Khalil Shakir. I still like Khalil Shakir. Before anybody chimes in the chat, yes, I'm aware Isaiah McKenzie is practicing. Not that concerned about it, though. I think you should draft only one of McKenzie, Cole Beasley, or Khalil Shakir, but I think it's going to be a hot hand approach. So I talked about that a little bit more yesterday, but I know people always really worried about the practice reports and all that stuff. I just don't think McKenzie comes back in and is running 100% of the snaps out of the slot. Like, it's going to be a mix there. Lunchable Connoisseur saying, I'm sure you went over it. How many did you get through and which ones look the most promising? I did already. I haven't gone over which ones look the most promising, but I'm basically, if Purdy, I guess either way, Purdy and Dak will advance. So I will have teams alive after this week regardless. I don't ever read, though, in which ones are going to be the best, because I think there are some that look good right now. But I would have said that about the few Diggs Allen stacks I had in round one, and that didn't pay out. So I have more than enough advancing. I've got like 23% in the gauntlet tournaments, and then I think 50 to 70% in the mitten tournaments that I did. But yeah, I think it's too early to say anything. And I showed my advance rates already, so I don't want to keep flexing them because I just don't think they don't matter that much. You guys know that. I've been able to get much Barkley exposure. Is he more of a fade for me? I think in this format, I think he's more of a fade just because he is like a really steep price tag for it. But yeah, I would say that I think Barkley is in a really tough matchup against Philadelphia as a volume guy who has really disappointed in spots where it felt like he should go off throughout the year. I think this is the worst spot he's going to be facing for the most part throughout the course of the year. So I'm not big on Barkley. I will take him if I'm taking a full giant stack. Like, let's say the Niners are out of play right away. The Eagles are out of play right away. I think that's where you can talk yourself into taking, the Giants, and then that means you have to take Barkley early. It's just that Barkley goes so early, you basically have to commit to the Giants at that point. And is that worth it? I'm not so sure. All right, we got one more pick left. We've got enough KC. Really nothing to increase a bet on anything here. Dallas, we got sniped on everybody useful, so that's fine. I think it's a Trenton Irwin spot. A hold your nose and trap Trenton Irwin. So our final team here, we're going 1-1 with the QB and running back, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Kadarius Toney, MVS, Schultz, Hurst, Khalil Shakir, and Trenton Irwin. That one kind of felt like nothing, but good news, guys. Here is your chance to play along with me here. I start that first draft right away so we can get right into the meat of things. If you want to play along with me in the Mitten Returns, you can see $5 entry here, $20K to first place, $10K to second, 22,464 entrants in it. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. And of course, if you're new to Underdog, use that promo code SPLASH, double your deposit up to $100. It is a good thing to do if you're new to best ball. If you're just stumbling upon this stream somehow, kudos to you for being here for the first time. But really, best ball is my favorite thing to do with my time in terms of the various DFS sports. I keep playing NFL DFS. I love it. You guys know I love showdown stuff, all that as well. But I do think best ball in terms of just having something where you can kind of turn your brain off, but still keep it active. Like, this is the equivalent to me of like those intelligence games you see targeted all the time on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's something where it's just you're sitting there, you're doing something that's active and still using your brain, but you can kind of shut it off a little bit and just kind of have some fun. I think these drafts are perfect for it. And obviously, offseason best ball is going to be where things really start to sing around here because I'm very excited. I cannot wait for the 2023 drafting season. All right, so we are in the, we're in the turn here. So the turn is a tough spot as well, because obviously we are going to be very unlikely to have any of the QBs. And if we do have the QBs, it's likely going to be Burrow and Chase that we get, which is going to be a pretty common build. So the combinatorial ownership, of course, those picks on the turn are going to be pretty high. That said, just getting a stack that makes sense is something that I do find appealing. But we will see how it goes. Sometimes McCaffrey does fall to 6, which I would have no issue with taking McCaffrey and Purdy again. But I just have so much McCaffrey and Purdy in the main playoff best ball tournaments that I just don't think it's plus EV for me to take a lot more Purdy and McCaffrey at this point, especially with Purdy's price tag coming up so much. So excited, so scared. Yes, Best Ball 2023 is going to be a big one. Hayden's already been teasing out what the BBM4 format's going to be, so I think they're going to come in with more money. I would get rid of the regular season winner personally, but that's my take on it. I know Pete and Brick have talked about this a little bit on Lulz, and I'm sure Pete's talked about it in some other shows. Although today those guys were talking about Chat GPT before the show, so I feel like maybe everything's blending together now with our various interests. Of course, me and my girl Pete, AI robot that we've had on the channel. All right, Joe Burrow goes, McCaffrey goes. All right, so this is where you do, I think, potentially consider taking a Giants team here. I'm taking Kelsey. I'm taking Chase. Everybody else can go to hell. That's how. But this is the logical build. Like I was pointing out in that last draft, you wouldn't take Kelsey and AJ Brown there. Like that doesn't make the most sense. What I think you want to do is get an alpha from two different teams who are not playing in this round, hopefully as well. Obviously that's the case for the Chiefs and the Bengals. But then, you get maybe a good head-to-head matchup for the AFC title game, and then you'll have one real true stud in the Super Bowl. That kind of build makes a lot of sense to me. Brock Purdy goes to the McCaffrey guy here, so we are basically going to be hoping that Saquon comes back. Also possible we could do Dallas here. I have no issue doing Dallas. It's just, again, I'm so deeply tied to the Niners and Dallas that it just doesn't excite me the same way as like, oh, can we get something really unique here? Can we somehow stumble into a Niners build with the Chiefs? Like that's something that'd be fun, but oh well. All right, we got some teams brewing here. Anybody good? This guy's got Mahomes, Debo, Kittle, so he's probably going to try to take Juju and like MVS late. Doesn't excite me that much. Oh, is McKinnon going to fall to me? I would not hate that. We'll see. All right, we got McKinnon. That's a nice one. And then, yeah, let's do it. Let's do Cowboys. Could have maybe tried to finesse that a little more because I could have theoretically taken CeeDee Lamb and Barkley. So I guess I could have perhaps tried to find a way to get live for Giants, Chiefs, and Bengals Super Bowls along with Dallas Chiefs and Bengals Super Bowls. But the value of McKinnon at this point, I think, is pretty pronounced. So I don't mind him at 18. 13 ADP, get him at 18 with people aggressively hunting Chiefs. I think that's pretty good. All right, this guy took Juju. So the Niners guy, and this is the other aspect of the Mittens / these drafts in general, but I think especially the Mittens. So this guy's got Mahomes and 2 Niners. This guy's got 2 Niners and then got pissed, I think, that this guy was taking Niners. So he took Juju. He's trying to do Niners Chiefs. This guy's trying to do Chiefs Niners. It just ends up you're competing for a very limited pool of players, and that's how you end up with guys like Jody Fortson in the 10th round. I don't even know who you go to. Justin Watson in the 10th round. So those teams, certainly contrarian build for a popular Super Bowl contender, but are they going to advance if you have, kind of weak guys with you? I don't know. I also personally keep drafting Kadarius Toney, and every time I draft him, I'm like, is he really worth where I'm drafting him right now? And seeing him go in the 4th round here, like Kadarius Toney's going this high because of situations like this, where this guy who's got Mahomes got scooped on Kelsey, got scooped on Juju, and he's like, I got to take somebody here. Takes Kadarius Toney. Maybe Kadarius Toney has an outlier playoff game. Like, I don't think that's crazy, but I just think he's kind of overvalued because of people thinking, oh, I got to get somebody here. Like, I have to get somebody useful. And I think that's a dangerous game to play. This guy taking 3 running backs. Running back pigging in this format is not the move either, I will say. Obviously, I'm a staunch anti-RB pig with everything I do. That said, Miles Sanders, Pacheco, Mixon, and you only have Devonta Smith, the receiver, you are getting real thin right away, apoplectic. I think that'd be a concern point for me. You just want one good loyal running back like Jerick McKinnon. I like 2, you can even make the case for to take early. 3 just feels like, what are you drafting for? I think he's trying to be live for Philly with Chiefs and Bengals Super Bowls, but you already have Miles Sanders there. I don't know that you need to take 2 running backs from the opponent teams, especially when we only have 1 receiver. Like, you got to fill 2 receiver spots. You only have to fill 1 running back spot. All right, we're on the clock here. We can get Dak. That is a positive. So now we are fully live for a Dallas Super Bowl. That's a positive for sure. And we got one more pick here. I think we could find a way to be live. We could find a way to be live for Buffalo too. So let's do it. Let's do it. I was gonna try to not bash him for one day, so I won't even read that one out loud. But you guys can read it to yourself. You guys know how to read. I'm confident in that. If I'm confident of anything in this YouTube chat of people typing, you guys know how to read, which I can tell you. It's fun though. Like, even though I think I'm the way I'm talking about this format, like I am a little bit down on it overall compared to like the playoff basketball, obviously the regular season basketball, all that stuff. That said, it's still more fun than like 99% of the other things you could do gambling wise right now, because betting, like the EV is squeezed out of pretty much everything with the betting markets out there from what I've been tracking. Same thing. Obviously, you could build some weird parlays. Like you can always do that. But I think for really like quality bets, like there's nothing out there right now that screams like, oh, this is a bet you got to take right now. So relative to things that you're doing in DFS, like it's a 4-game slate, apparently going to be bleeding over Saturday to Sunday for DraftKings, which I'll play, but it's just like, okay, cool. I'm going to worry about that later in the week. For this part of the week, best ball is really the main thing you have. And I think that's where, if you are a football junkie like I am, if you live and breathe this sport, probably more than you should, though I do work at Football Outsider, so I guess I should probably be living and breathing the sport. This is the one I would recommend getting into. Perfect shitter game, as we talk about a lot here. Any game you can play on the toilet. That is something that will always bubble up meaningfully in terms of your interest and your time spent. It's actually a guy, the guy who sold that gas app that high school kids love to Discord, was talking about how like he looks at apps and when he thinks of concepts and whatever, one of the key things is like your ability to use it on a toilet. And I was like, thank you. I've been saying that. I've been saying that for months, maybe years even. So people out there get it. People poop. Everybody poops. As a book once told me, everybody poops. All right. Got McKenzie here if we want to complete Buffalo. Blech. Got Jacksonville here that doesn't do much for us. Would have been nice to get another Dallas guy, but who isn't T.Y. Hilton? And also Zeke man, like nothing fell. All right. Let's just take McKenzie. I don't take enough McKenzie. That's fine. And is this really where I have to take T.Y. Hilton to make sure that I get T.Y. Hilton? Is this what my life has become, drafting T.Y. Hilton in the 8th round? Is this the man I am? Somebody who's going to draft T.Y. Hilton right now? I think I have to. I think I lost out on everybody else now. Oh God, kill me. More like T.Y. kill me. No, not him, to be clear. This is terrible. Taking T.Y. Hilton in the 8th round feels like one of the worst draft moves I've made. And I am now at a number where I have drafted roughly 800 teams over the last 12 months, I guess, maybe closer to 1,000 teams over the last 12 months. And nothing has made me feel quite as bad as taking T.Y. Hilton here. And I'm a man that drafted Kyle Pitts in the 2nd round. I'm a man that took Darren Waller everywhere. Boy, T.Y. Hilton in the 8th. This a bridge too far for me. But at least he's not a running back. This might be a build for... No, I don't. Boy. I mean, we got our 2 AFC running backs, so that's good. So we are live for a Dallas KC Super Bowl, a Dallas Buffalo Super Bowl. Those are the goals, really. But I don't know what to do with these last 2 slots because nothing's really going to help me out that much. I don't know if Joe Morgan here is trying to sex me up here, but yes, I do feel dirty. Red badge took Mahomes and Purdy and overflow. I think the red badges matter a little bit less than they used to, guys. I think we're running into the way that, Underdog is sort of priced these red badges. And that's no disrespect to the red badges we have in our chat who are very sharp. And, we see enough of them too that also are very sharp out there. That said, I think we are now at the DFS portion of things for Underdog, where it's like there are countless people who are spending $1,000 a night, $1,000 a month, maybe on Underdog, whatever the case may be. And they're just spending money and not winning a cent of it back. And I think we are firmly in that territory of where Underdog is. Like if you went on DraftKings, you'd have probably a lot of red badges too, but guys who've never actually won anything. And I think that's where the ecosystem is right now, which is good, but also doesn't mean what it used to. Can't wait for BBM4, even though I got screwed in the finals in this one. Rick, I am on that same page, my friend. As a man who had Devin Singletary, T. Higgins, and not Hayden Hurst. Who was my third guy? I had a third guy that was good. Was it Hayden Hurst? Yeah, no, it was Hayden Hurst. Yeah, like I had 3 guys going. Point being, no, Burrow was my third guy. Sorry, I had Hurst in another lineup, but I had 3 guys going, and I had no quarterback points because I had Trey Lance as my other QB in the finals. To finish top 200 with those metrics is a positive thing, but it would have been nice to know how that would go. Again, I've said it a countless times though. Like Karain winning, at least nobody can feel bad about that because that guy grinds as hard as anybody you will find out there. Noah Brown, you're a piece of shit. That's how I encourage my guys. I'm hoping to get some negative reinforcement from him. I do think that McKenzie and Shakir meaningfully take away from each other. But at this point, I'm just trying to get another Buffalo guy in. I guess I could take Hardman too as a luxury play. Hardman or Shakir? Hardman's not practicing, which is kind of a worry. Let's take Hardman. Let's take Hardman. It's hilarious, by the way. People are taking double QBs and whatever, and they don't take Trevor Lawrence. This guy's playing this week. Like these drafts. Motto to me, these drafts driving me insane. All right, so our final team, I can read it now. Travis Kelce, Jamar Chase, Jerick McKinnon, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Devin Singletary, Isaiah McKenzie, T.Y. Hilton, Noah Brown, Nicole Hardman. If you only look at the first 6 rounds, maybe 7, this feels like a really good team. And then we end up with T.Y. Hilton, Noah Brown, and Nicole Hardman. But I think this fits the thesis of what I'm talking about, though. You take 2 studs from the same conference. You try to get your NFC team late. The Niners are probably off the board for that now, but you can take Cowboys late. You can take Giants late. I think those are 2 teams that certainly could win their game, more so the Dallas side of it than the Giants side of it. But I think these builds to me have made the most sense throughout the first round, the wild card round inclusive, playoff basketball drafts. I'd say the same thing for right now, too. Just get 2 studs from one conference and see what we can do on the other side. I like this. I like the team other than the last 3 rounds, maybe last 4. All right, we don't need to see apoplectic draft. We'll hit another draft now. It's $5, guys. I'm gonna keep benching these like Pringles. All right, counting it down. 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up. We are a go. So I like to do with our baby. I'll count it down. I'll go 3, 2, 1. Rocket ship. That's where we are right now. We are on the rocket ship. First pick. Can't wait to get sniped on everything. Honestly, kind of feels like McCaffrey is still the most plus EV first round pick to me. That is the joy of best ball, Rick. I get it. I mean, ultimately, look, I think once you get to that final round, that's why I'm just happy to build myself as a Best Ball Mania 3 finalist. It is like a dice roll then. And, and again, I think even Karain would say that and has said that in some of his content too, where it's like Tom Brady doesn't go off an entire season, then he hits in a big way and also does it without Mike Evans. Like that's something that was very hard, a tough needle to thread for Karain to win that. But it's just one of those things too, where like you could have good players and you have them at the wrong positions. That's not helpful either. That's why I was so optimistic about having Burrow and having 0 points at QB, because it's like, cool, I know I'm going to jump 20, 30-ish points, you would hope. And in this spot, not so much. All right. We got Mahomes. We got Allen. I mean, there's just no way Kelsey's going to come back to me. So why am I even going to play that game? Let's go McCaffrey. Let's do it. I don't care if this duplicates my other builds. I've now seen what it's like to start with Eagles. I've now seen what it's like to start with Chiefs. I'm just going to pray Purdy falls back, but that is probably unlikely. We'll find out. We're playing a dangerous game here. An unstacked McCaffrey is probably one of the worst things you can have, I feel like. Because then you don't have the QB from the NFC. You don't have any. Brock Purdy? Ugh. Shoe. Oh, God. Wish I could step on this Shoe character, I'll tell you what. So everybody gets their nice clean stacks except me. Okay. Good stuff. Love to see that. All right. And Debo goes too? Come on. All right. I think we're going to try to build... I'm like ashamed saying it, but the way that worked out was the worst possible way for anything. I think we're going to try to build a Niners Jags here. Yucky is what I would say. Let's just take Let's take Ayuk too, so nobody gets good Brock Purdy stacks. You just have a naked Brock Purdy doing nothing for you. You can make the case I should have taken Saquon Barkley there because he's not likely to come back, but I'm really mad about the fact that guy took Brock Purdy. So we are where we are. Enjoy your unstacked Brock Purdy, my friend. Shoe. Will you adjust your strategy for BBM4, keep the same primary plan? I will still err on the side of 0 RB builds. I think I'm going to be more willing to do anchor RB builds in general, but I still think the EV is on the receivers. Like, I don't think that's going to change. Everything I believed about running backs proved right throughout the year. It just ended up being that my guys who were the 0 RB guys kind of ran cold at a week where other 0 RB guys did not. Like Jamal Williams, if he were still on my team that advanced, he would have been a big play. There were guys there that still could have been big plays. Like McKinnon still would have been a big play. So I think that's my main takeaway is that 0 RB wasn't wrong. It just, you had to hit the nuts. And I think it's the same thing this year. But I would say for me, it'll probably be like 66% 0 RB, 33%, 1 RB in the first couple rounds. And it's going to be really carefully vetted 1 RB in those first few rounds. All right. Now is when I think, you know what? Let's do this. Let's try to be live for Dallas as well. Let's try to be live. God, I would have to take Dalton Schultz though, huh? All right, I'm just going to take ATN now. And pray Dalton Schultz falls. That's going to be a tough one. I'm playing a dangerous game here. That's what we live for. Playing dangerous games. I'm living on the edge here of playoff best ball. There's the bad boy of playoff best ball here. Ooh, he took Tony Pollard and Travis Etienne and still doesn't have a QB. What a renegade. Knowing how these drafts have been going, honestly, somebody's going to probably just take Trevor Lawrence so they have that safety of a second QB for themselves. But all these guys have stud QBs and Brock Purdy. So I feel like they shouldn't be taking QBs at this point. If I were them, I wouldn't. This guy's team, this Shoe team is garbage. Makes no sense at all. Tell a story with your team, guys. And the story of your team shouldn't be, I don't know how to draft. I think that's what Shoe's team is doing. Of course, knowing my luck, Shoe's probably in the chat right now and is like, oh, I thought I was doing a good job. And he's going to pop up and make me feel bad. Oh, short gamer takes Schultz. God damn it. All right. Let's just get our Trevor Lawrence and our stupid Christian Kirk. All right. Who's up for a Jags Super Bowl? The people of Duval lining the streets. Honestly, I don't know if you guys saw this clip, but Trevor Lawrence apparently went to like a Waffle House after they won their playoff game. And it's like the clip I saw on social media was Trevor Lawrence goes to a Waffle House after the game. And at first, like, it's a guy walking in just a Trevor Lawrence jersey. And then actual Trevor Lawrence walks in and the whole Waffle House gives him a standing ovation. Feel good story for Trevor Lawrence. Like, I think that's a nice scene to have. My Darkwing Duck. I don't know what I said that would be Darkwing Duck appropriate, but I'm curious to hear, Dustin. I hope you will tell me, because when there's trouble, you do not call me. You do not call Chris Spags. When there's trouble, you do the opposite of calling Chris Spags. Chris Spags calls other people whenever there's trouble. I guess in a fight, like, I would know, like, I would still be, even in my mid-30s, I would still be a person that's willing to throw down if like one of my guys got into a fight. So I guess in that respect, you can call me. But if it's like fix plumbing or whatever, as we saw yesterday, don't call Chris Spags. Oh, okay. I did say let's get dangerous. Yes, let's get dangerous. That was part of the theme song, in fact. I used to love Darkwing Duck as a kid. Weren't they? No, that was a joke meme that went around for a while, was they were going to do like an adult version of Darkwing Duck, like a BoJack Horseman kind of version of Darkwing Duck. And I was like so excited about it, and then they just didn't do it. And then I was sad. And that's my Darkwing Duck tale. 2 more Jags. Yes, this is the only way this lineup works. All right, cool. All right, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones. So we are now technically live for a Jags-Niners Super Bowl. We are technically live for a Jags-Dallas Super Bowl. I might have to take T.Y. Hilton again if he lasts. So that's where we've gone. This feels like less of a busto team fully. Like, obviously, we need the Jags to beat Kansas City, knowing that there's a 78% chance that the Chiefs win, according to the top markets in the world. But hey, 21% chance, 22% chance of them advancing. They're live. They're live. You got a Texas cheesesteak. What is a Texas cheesesteak? Is that like Texas bread with cheesesteak? I'd be curious to know, as a man that eats many a bad thing. I actually feel like dog shit today because we got this pancake cake from Milk Bar. I don't know if you guys know that place. It's like national now, but it started as like a New York place. And they make this like cake that basically tastes like pancake, but it's so fucking good. And I got a little baked last night and had 2 large slices of it. It's a 6-inch cake. The entire cake is 6,000 calories. So I probably ate a good 2,000 calories of cake. And I feel awful today. Like, I did a workout. I feel terrible. So I'm no stranger to things that feel bad. And a Waffle House, a Texas cheesesteak from Waffle House feels like that would be not the best. It was funny watching that right after our home league loser had to do a Waffle House challenge for losing the league. I love how many people are doing the Waffle House challenge now, where you're there for, did he do the full 24 hours stop stat and eat the waffle every hour? Because I think Matthew Friedman did that a couple years ago too. Yeah, that's a fun bit to do. I don't think I could do it, but I'd give it a go. I'd be better at eating like 20 hot dogs, I think. 30 hot dogs? I don't know how many hot dogs. Waffle House is also a cultural experience. I wonder at Waffle House, like, obviously, the people that work there tend to be a little more of the Street Fighter types. Do they do like self-defense classes at Waffle House? Because I feel like they should, based on just the pure volume of fight videos that go on there. I would want to know something. I want to have something in my my tool belt at the old Waffle House. Ate 15 waffles, stayed for 9 hours. All right, that's a fair punishment. That's not like as obscenely annoying as some of the other ones. And I smelled horrible after leaving. That place has a must. Oh, that's a musk of Waffle House is not it. All right, that team. Let's take a look at it again because I thought that was actually not a bad team. Certainly not the best here. Come on, Underdog. Give me a good refresh. What is going on? Apparently, Underdog doesn't want me to look at this team again. There we go. All right, that final team: Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Kittle, Ayuk, Kirk, Ingram, Jones, Hilton. Would have been nice to get Dalton Schultz in there instead of one of the Jags receivers, but this is like a good team if the Jags make the Super Bowl. The downside is we are relying on the Jags to make the Super Bowl, but we know that. All right, loading it up again, guys. This is me cocking my fist, cocking a gun. I don't know. This is me fisting a horse. 3, 2, 1. We are in the Mitten Returns. Joining now. Did I do any FFPC teams? I did not. I do think the format looks fun. I just only have the bandwidth to do one site. Is pretty much how I feel about it. Like, I play only on DraftKings. I play only on Underdog for best ball. With the hours of the day and just like the time suck of having a newborn, or I guess is a 10-month-old still a newborn? I don't know. Having a baby and just having to like actually be a partner and all that stuff. Something has to give. So like, I haven't played a lot of NBA DFS this year and I didn't do FFPC. That said, FFPC looks like a lot of fun. That is one game that I would say intrigued me a little bit. I just think I would lose money on it, like, right, unless I did, a bunch of entries, but I don't even know what the max entries are for FFPC. The playoff challenge, if you haven't checked it out, I would, Peach's been doing the stuff on the ship chasing shows with those guys talking about FFPC. A lot of fun. Basically, you're picking one player from each team, is my understanding, and then you have to build a full roster off of that. So the ownership kind of becomes like an interesting game. But I do think it's one of those things that I would probably go busto in, would be my thought. Really fun. First year I did it. Also, Pete did it. Pete finds the time to do all of his stuff with a baby. Also, it's like, I wait for Pete to get to the 4-month stage of things, and let's see how he's doing on shows. I've said that to Pete myself because, like, I try to be encouraging with it. But like, I remember when I first had Luke, it was like, yeah, he's waking up, or whatever, and Pete's baby sleeping through the night and whatever. So that's a good thing for them. But like, once the sleep regressions hit, once you actually have to monitor them, and you can't just like hold them and do shit on your phone, that's when things start to ramp up. Obviously, the parents out there know this well better than I do. But we'll see. It's a journey. It's not linear. Okay. You guys want to know my life? Here's Here's a text I just got from my wife, Alex. In 7 years, what do you do if Luca and I come home with an iguana? Here's my thought when I see that text. First of all, how did I end up in the self-made hell? It's the first part. The second thing is she absolutely just saw a TikTok or something with that and then was like, let me ask him this question, which is a question that quite frankly does not need to be answered. We're doing Joe Burrow. We're doing Joe Burrow. We're doing Jamar Chase. Let's do this. We haven't gotten a good alpha stack. I think the Bengals are still a good alpha stack. FFPC is so much fun and more game theory than people think. Okay. I think that makes sense. I mean, honestly, I think it's a lot of game theory. I think the issue for me doing it would be that it's almost like too much game theory, where that's where I start to get weird with it. That's why I like main slate and NFL DFS, because oh, these guys are going to be really highly owned. These guys are going to be highly owned, but the industry doesn't think they're going to be, because they don't get that a lot of people on DraftKings just play, oh, who's the guy versus the 32nd ranked run defense? Click. So like, that's the thing that I like game theory wise, when it's like, oh, Saquon Barkley might be 70% owned, and sure, you might need his wild card points, but what if Isaiah Hodgins goes off for 2 rounds? I'm like, oh God, I feel like the guy in Total Recall is like brain explodes. That's not where I necessarily want to be. But I think it does sound like fun. I would give it a shot. It's just, laziness gets to be the thing. You are correct, Johnny. You are correct. He's, in fact, flipping over the dog's water bowls, chasing the dog and the cat around the house, grabbing the dog's tail. Poor Penny, my 12-year-old pit mix. And I know pit mix. So trust me, I'm aware. Trained her as hard as one could possibly train a dog. So she's a good dog. That said, she is fucking pushing. She's getting her limits pushed by the baby. But yeah, he crawls around. He tries to fucking pull the Ethernet cable I have that wires down to here. He is, we are on the run to toddler terror. That's a good point. Knowing it's boomers, drafting helps a bit. I think that's funny. I think again, like, I love Pete's content. The ship chasing guys have done a good job making fun of the boomer opto for FFPC. I think seems like a fun format. Maybe I'll try it next year. I mean, Pete has certainly talked about the hype of FFPC and like trying to do Vegas next year. I could be talked into it. I only have so much brain power. All right. Coming up here. Looks like we're going to get the Bengals alpha, which I am not going to be mad about. I'll take it. So we're pretty common right now. We're going to have to get, I think what we're going to do, this is a 2-man build. This is where we're going to take Cowboys 2-mans. We're going to take Giants 2-mans. We're going to take whatever 2-mans are available, I think. But I have no regrets about this build. You can make the case I should go 5-man too for the Bengals, just so you could theoretically fill a roster if only the Bengals make the Super Bowl. But we'll see what needles we can thread. Try to get cute with it. Try to get adorable, in fact. All right, so Mind Man's doing an interesting one. He's got Diggs, Kelsey, Sanders, Goddard. So who's going to be your QB, Mind Man? This is the wrong way to do what I was talking about with the stud stacking. You got to be able to have one of the QBs somewhere. And he's not going to be able to have Hurts, obviously, not going to be able to have Mahomes, not going to be able to have Allen. So his QB is going to be somebody that doesn't correlate with these plays. Like his QB is going to be Daniel Jones or some shit. Maybe Dak. He doesn't have any Dak parts. That's a bad team by Mind Man. That's like let me advance and ruin this pod, and then it just ends for me there kind of team. Not like 4 Bengals. Now that's a team you could set your watch to. You see 4 Bengals on the team, you're like, that's the equivalent of being a guy with like driving a BMW out there or whatever. I don't know, a Benz, whatever you want to say is the car of your choice. I don't want to offend the gearheads. Also, to go back to that BBM4 question, I don't know why it's sitting on me, but that Dustin asked about strategy approaches. I will try more full stacks in BBM as well, as long as it lines up the right way. Because you could have gotten, Amon Ra for cheap. You could have gotten Jamal Williams for cheap. You could have gotten Jared Goff for nothing. I think there is something to just taking some minor stacks in the hopes that they are really good next year. So I think that's part of the strategy too that I've been thinking about in the back of my head while talking to you guys. All right. We don't really want Tyler Boyd here. We want NFC guys. So we want Schultz. That's good. Is there anybody left from the Niners? No, there's nobody left who's good from the Niners. Woof. All right. Honestly, I might just take Gallup here. Let's do that. Let's do that. You know what? No, let's not do that. Hold on. Let me get Mitchell. Okay. Okay, cool. We're gonna do a two-man a different way for this, but I'm gonna still try to get a two-man of the Niners and try to get a two-man of Dallas. So hopefully, I hate saying this stuff out loud because somebody can snipe me, but I think Short Gamer is the only guy who's actually in chat and in this draft as well. I think the way that I can do this is hope that Gallup and Juwan Jennings fall. That'll make me live for both Cincinnati, Dallas, and Cincinnati, San Francisco Super Bowls. Obviously, those guys are both playing this next round, so that does kind of cut my upside for the championship round. But beggars cannot be choosers. Beggars simply cannot be choosers in a best ball mania, in any sort of best ball format, let alone a best ball mania format. But yeah. But definitely a playoff best ball. You got to take whatever's there. Just hope it works out. I like the full stack call. I plan to dive into BBM4 more than before, and I like that strategy for a decent percentage. I think it's just a matter of honestly, that was how I felt about zero RB. But I think with also what Corain won with last year, I think zero RB is not going to be still as popular as it should be. It's really just about trying to build in ways that people aren't going to build. So if they're not going to take those Goff mini stacks or whatever, they're not going to take whoever the Goff next year is. I don't know, Jimmy G with Breece Hall coming off an ACL tear and Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Something like that, maybe. But whatever is going to be a devalued stack that still has some upside and kind of correlates, I think it's worth the shots. But I think still it's just ultimately if you draft zero RB, that's the easiest high upside way to get different from everybody else in regular best ball. It's just, can you get the nuts? That's always going to be the question. It's can you have the nuts come week 17 and give yourself enough ammo to get through 14 weeks? I mean, 14 plus 2 really, but I'm excited though. It's gonna be fun to draft all this for months with you guys. So if you're new around here, by the way, strap in. Splash Play goes on 5 days a week. I find ways to fill the content. Of course, Pete and I will also still be doing shows at least once a week. But subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment, all that stuff, because I love football. You guys, if you're watching this, you love football. So just hang out and we'll talk football, and we'll try to be smarter about it every single day. All right. All right. So Gallup fell. That's a good one. So we are live now for Dallas. Do I try to get the Giants and then hope Juwan Jennings falls? The thing is, there's nothing else from the Niners, so let's just get our Niners. All right, so basically the hope is now with this particular build that we will have Chase and Higgins filling receiver spots, Mixon filling one running back or Mitchell, and then Juwan Jennings or Mitchell can be the flex. It's not a great build, but it makes sense. And I think this two-man build still works. That's the main thing to me is you have your core Cincinnati guys, you have two-man builds, you can fill out a full roster. That's sort of all I care about. Drafted 6 Bengals earlier. See, I think that might be a little overstacky, but with, people were saying yesterday, I think Raise It was in the chat yesterday saying how many 5-man stacks made the top 50 of the tournaments last year just because of the fact that they had a full roster to play in the Super Bowl. I think to win it, you still need to have you probably need to cut yourself at 4, maybe 5 max, and then get lucky to get at least one guy from the opposite team there. But that's how I feel about to win it. If you're okay finishing top 50, I think obviously, and everybody be okay finishing top 50. A 5-man stack, a 6-man stack can work. I just think your upside's a little bit capped, but it just takes one late guy going off and then your upside's not capped. It takes Khalil Shakir going for 30 points and then you have a 5-man stack of Philly and it's okay, well, cool. I know not that Khalil Shakir's going to go for 30, but that's kind of an example. Was the week 17 all you need to worry about take as viable as people thought? I think so. Is there correlated picks on Corain's lineup? I know my best teams had correlated plays. Obviously, unfortunately, a little too many correlated plays from Bills Bengals. But I think that was still the right move. You want to get those guys there. I think it's just not being completely dependent on one build. I wish I had advanced a couple teams and then I had one that had Bills Bengals, one that didn't have Bills Bengals. I think that was it. Basically, if he had stacked Carolina, Tampa Bay even more intelligently and had gotten Evans there, he would have won walking away. There wouldn't even be a question about that Monday night game because he would have had, 40 points from Mike Evans. So I think if anything, it's being more stacky towards week 17, or at least, making sure you get the alpha parts of a stack. Yeah, I tried something different. I mean, that's all you can do. Like that's how I landed on the 118 build that I love so much with that I have from the wild card round, where I took Purdy, took McCaffrey, and then just took Debo plus a bunch of 2-man builds from every other AFC team. Like that's my best shot to win this all. So the Niners going all the way, Purdy and McCaffrey being competent throughout, and then Debo or Kittle being good. I think I advanced both those teams. So like I think getting unique is always a positive thing. It's just you have to get unique within a logic. And I think you're doing that. Like getting unique with 6 Bengals is a way to get unique. It's just like you need the Bengals to really win that Super Bowl hard. Like, but that's possible. Like, what if it's Bengals Giants? Bengals could put up 45. Like they can win 45-0. We've seen that in the past in the Super Bowl. It hasn't happened that much recently, but it's happened. I guess that Rams Super Bowl will be the closest. All right. You know what? I think we can get Giants here at the end too. Let's do that. Tack on some Giants. Darius Slayton. Richie James probably went. Yeah. How do you take Richie James over Slayton? I think that's a dumb move. Take Bellinger. All right. We are live for Bengals, Niners, Bengals, Cowboys, and Bengals, Giants. Sure, they're not the prettiest stacks in the world, but we are live for all the Super Bowl outcomes. This is what I like, because I think the main thing is you are expecting the Bengals to do the majority of the work, and then you just want other guys from the team who might make the Super Bowl. Obviously, it would have been better to get 2 Eagles, but we got what we got. So Joe Burrow here, Joe Mixon, Elijah Mitchell, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Schultz, Gallup, Jawan Jennings, Slayton, Bellinger. That looks good. How many more am I doing? I guess at least one more. Strap in for one more. Especially as the lulls crowd comes over here, which I appreciate. Everybody's had enough of Brick and Pete talking about all the things they talk about. To be clear, I love that show. That's probably one of my favorite shows Pete does, because I think the game theory stuff is always fun to hear Brick's takes on things as a guy that, again, follow the people that actually win money and hear what they say and go from there. All right, let's load up another one. Short gamer drafted, so I've shown him the proper respect. Mitten Returns, hopping in now, counting it down. Count it down from 5 to give everybody a fair shot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are in, and it's already filled. Boy, I hope you guys are getting good at timing this. I feel like Short Gamer's gotten good at it. I think a few of the guys here are getting good at timing this out. I try to make it achievable to get into these drafts with me, but the mittens fill up so fast. I think it's tough to get a full friends and family draft. Maybe DFS Texas is here. I know he's one of our occasional regulars. Lenny and number 2. It's a cool name. I hope that guy's name is actually Lenny. Miss it every damn time. Sorry, TikTok. I try my best. In with Short Gamer. Okay, so you're the one who's going to get shark today, Top Stat. Sorry about that. I'm here with MM3C Ippoletti and Lenny. All my pals. But again, I just love binging these anyway. So if you guys want to keep hanging around and trying to get in them with me, I'm happy to do it. I care about the community. I care about people getting my sweet streamer EV. Oh, Tyler, are you DFS Texas? Or are you MRAT Texas? I thought DFS Texas is just DFS Texas. I might be confused. Did a gauntlet yesterday and somebody drafted 4 QBs and ruined the entire lobby. Why are people like this? Okay. Yeah. I think that is a fair question. People just don't know how to draft, and they don't care about how their choices affect other people. So you're getting 2 things combining there. You're getting one part of just basic humanity, especially amongst Americans. And then the second part is you're getting people just not knowing how to draft. So that shit sucks. I hate that in the gauntlet, because like you expect that to happen in Mitten sometimes. Like I get it. Like you're new to it. I'm not going to be mad at people who are just trying to figure it out and trying some different things and then they fuck it up. If you're spending $25 per draft, you need to know like a little bit of what you're doing. Play the Mitten. There we go. Okay, good to know, Tyler. I will file that away now that you are officially DFS Texas. All right, we're on the clock here. I think we have a shot to get AJ Brown this time. So let's try it. Let's pray. Come on, AJ Brown. Go, AJ Brown. Go, AJ Brown. There should be a limit on QBs because it actually destroys everyone's chances. That is true. I like the freedom that Underdog provides to draft whatever. I don't know. It's one of those like things that I feel like could almost be a responsible gaming thing where you want people to not do things that are inherently dumb, but there's also a chance that like there's always a chance that one of those can actually win somehow. Very unlikely, but there's a chance. So I think that's why they can't do it. But it does feel like some sort of safeguards for people to make just dumbass plays, I think is kind of a thing that um I would try to. I would try to. You put him on the thumbnail, it has to happen. That is true. AJ Brown is on the thumbnail. Good news too is like this is too small of a photo of AJ Brown, so it looks kind of pixely for me. But I think on the thumbnail size, it comes out okay. I just love the photo of him. Like, what a great photo of AJ Brown. Look at that joyous smile. How could you be mad at that? All right, we're getting AJ Brown. Yay! Confetti falls from the sky. AJ Brown is officially Team Spags for one lineup and not a single one more. Thank God. Now I'm gonna get now I'm gonna get sniped on Devonta Smith, which honestly I guess wouldn't be the worst thing. An Eagles 5-man, I think I don't mind. There's a way that Eagles 5-man gets there. I also think Dallas Goedert is a smash play this week. I said that yesterday, but I will highlight that again. If you're going to get one piece of the Eagles this week and hope that it just advances you through this round, I think Dallas Goedert's that guy. I think everybody's going to flock to AJ Brown. Let me look at the man defense numbers for the Giants real fast. So Giants, Giants do play man at a high rate, which is pretty bad news for their defense going against AJ Brown. 35% man coverage rate. AJ Brown in the year, 3.4 yards per route run, 19 yards per catch, 24% touchdown rate versus man defense. That said, the thing that the Giants are the worst at is defending the tight end. They're 31st according to DVOA, highest EPA numbers in the league given up to tight end. So I think if Dallas Goedert gets fed, like he's going to have that Dalton Schultz week this week. All right, we got Devonta here. Oh, it's basically a Sophie's choice. Do I go Devonta or Miles Sanders? I'm going to take Miles here. TikTok, I'm getting those particular stats from Sports Info Solutions, which I would swear by. I have access to it through Football Outsiders because we have a partnership with them. But honestly, like it's expensive, but I think it's worth every dollar if you're trying to get really good info in. I combine my stats too. Like I pull stuff as I've talked about in the data videos throughout the year. I pull stuff from Football Outsiders. I pull stuff from PFF. I pull stuff from Sports Info Solutions. I actually might not pull PFF this year because I think SIS's data is the best. Like I just love it a lot. So they get my full cosign, but Sports Info Solutions is great. You can see all sorts of splits. Like I'm going to have more, like you guys saw it in the draft video. If you want to check that out, I did a QB preview video, basically just kind of talking through the advanced analytics for college QBs and how I think they're going to look relative to the NFL. And like those, with the ways you could chop it up with air yards and see now Devonta Smith fell. Okay. This is a good value for Devonta Smith. And there probably are not a lot of Devonta Miles Sanders lineups. This is going to kill me if Dallas Goedert goes off. Okay. We're going to do it. We're going to do Devonta. Just too good of a value here. 21 ADP for Devonta when he goes at 13. That's too good. That's too good. But yeah, as you guys know from what I talk about here, like I think a big reason, obviously, like I work at Football Outsiders, so that informs my thing too. Like I'm running everything there. Technically, Aaron Schatz is boss, which is crazy because he's a guy that I followed in college as being the godfather of football analytics. But point being, like having good data in your life and not just trusting counting stats and stuff, and also being able to identify like who's just giving you yards per rush stats and going, all right, like, is that it? Like, because that's not helpful. Like, I think that's why the underdog guys are so great. Like, Hayden, I know, incorporates EPA and everything. Sam Hoppin, the 4for4 guys, also incorporate EPA stuff. If you're not incorporating advanced stats and you're like following constant people that don't, I don't think you should personally, but they bring you joy. Whatever brings you joy. Oh, yes. Dallas Goedert falls too. Yes. The 5-man elite. Team Eagles, baby. I'm going to go to Wawa, get some hoagies after this because we are fully an Eagles household now. Alex is going to be thrilled that I'll have one team at least supporting her preferred team of choice. This is sick, though. Talk me into an Eagles 5-man. I'm bashing 5-man builds, and yet here I am. I just think Dallas Goedert puts up 20 this week. I think there's a very live shot that he puts up 20 this week. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But it is too cake of a matchup for him. He's going to get whatever he wants if they feed him the ball. Sick team, though. I'll take 5 Eagles. I will take 5 Eagles gladly. Wish I had it in a gauntlet, honestly. But now the question becomes, what can you do with the AFC? I see some options. All right. All right. Now you get unique. Okay. How do we get unique here? How do we get unique? So we can take a Buffalo guy. I think we go to 2-mans. I think we take some tight ends. I think we're going to have a tight end heavy lineup, actually. This is what we're going to do. I got my Eagles to take Dawson Knox. I think I'm going to stick with 1 QB, 1 running back. We'll see. We'll see how the board shakes out. This is a good build, though. Tremendous value. You usually don't get this much ADP value in these drafts from what I've seen. Just because of people grabbing whatever they like in the mitten. It's like, oh, I like this player. Sure, it doesn't make sense to the stack. Sure, it doesn't make sense with give me any shots to actually win the Super Bowl. People do draft like that a lot, though. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it clean. We're going to be a team Miles Sanders. God, Miles Sanders' floor is so low, though. Raise it. I already did talk about it. I'll read them again here. Everybody's so curious about my advance rates. 22% in the first gauntlet, 21.4% in the second gauntlet, and then 57% in Mitten 3, 63% in Mitten 4. But I only did I did 37 gauntlets, 42 gauntlet 2s, 21 Mitten 3s, and 19 Mitten 4s. So I should have done more. Was my main takeaway, but we made the choices we made. All right, we're on the clock here. I think we're going to play a Jags upset. Just because there are good Jags left and there are not good Chiefs left. And quite frankly, I don't need McCole Hardman being my alpha Chiefs. What about remaining exposures? That's a good question. Let's see. Active. No, live. Let's see. Yeah, I'll tease him out. We'll look at him after we finish this draft. But I will pull up my exposures and I will hit one more draft, and that'll be my cap for the day. Oh, good point. I should have taken Evan Ingram so I could have purely tight ends besides my Eagles. Damn it, I wanted Hayden Hurst to fall. Oh, that's tilting. That's tilting. This was the right move. It was the right move to take from the opposite team first, because obviously, there is a world where the Bills and Jags can make an AFC title game, but fuck, I would have really liked Hurst to fall. My ideal was going to be having Knox, Hurst, and then maybe Ingram, but it didn't happen that way. Ingram or Kirk. Obviously, I went Kirk. All right. I guess I could still get Ingram. Honestly, I might take a Jag. Because we're dead on KC anyway. We're dead on Cincinnati. I see no reason not to just take another Jag. Shit. Oh, Hayden Hurst. Apple in my eye. Got to respect Underdog for having a slightly higher projection for Khalil Shakir than Cole Beasley. The Cole Beasley steam is a little bit too much for me. People see a name they know who did stuff in the past and are like, yup, Cole Beasley's back. Forgetting that he flamed out of multiple teams. I get he had the touchdown last week. I just think that Cole Beasley's overvalued. There we go. So he goes to Lenny. Do you think this is Mina Kimes' dog Lenny drafting here? I hope so. Bees is a real lunch pail guy. Yeah. Hopefully the lunch pail isn't a metal one and it gives him a poke somewhere he doesn't want, because we know he doesn't enjoy those. Can't believe I have to hang on to basically the last pick. How rude. I feel like the 9th and 10th rounds of these underdog playoff best ball drafts kind of feel like if you did the DraftKings best ball tournaments for playoffs where it's 20 rounds, it kind of feels like the end of those drafts where it's like, God, just what am I picking here? Is anybody who's got a pulse, please give me something. All right. We're going to get Khalil Shakir. Love that. Honestly, if Quez falls, I might as well just take Quez, I guess. Just go for the full gusto. Quez or Kenneth Gainwell. There's no way Kenneth Gainwell does anything useful in the playoffs, is there? This guy did nothing this year. 240 yards. Like, what a joke. Is Kenneth Gainwell Tony Pollard, maybe, and we just don't realize it because the Eagles are actually good and, like, Miles Sanders is not as bad as Zeke? Because it kind of feels like that. What are these guys going to draft? Boston Scott. People want me to... The giant killer Boston Scott? I guess I've been doing that a little. I can tell you I haven't taken much Gainwell at all. And I do think there's a world where Quez could break one big play in a game. Like they've just been holding him, in the garage all season, and finally he's going to break one out. All right, Gainwell goes. At this point, I have so much receiver capital that I don't see a reason to draft another receiver, really, other than the upside. So, all right, you guys win. Boston Scott, come on down. And if Quez Watkins breaks a touchdown, I'm coming for you guys in chat. I'm coming for each and every one of you. But our final team here: Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Dawson Knox, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Khalil Shakir. Who could forget the battle of the AFC Titans in the championship game where Buffalo and the Jaguars go head to head? Real thin. We'll see. I should have went Quez. You said Scott. You can't tell me Scott and Quez. Pick a lane, Rick. Come on. All right. Let's look at my exposures. This is them, right? Yeah, this is all of them. And you can see here's my advanced teams. Ta-da. Exposures. 40% Gabe. Real good position by position. 33% Brock Purdy, 26% Dak, 24% Daniel Jones, 14% Josh Allen, 7% Lamar Jackson. That is painful to me. I did have some Baltimore Super Bowl teams that are absolutely dead in the water. Not a lot of Trevor Lawrence, zero Mahomes. I don't even know where I have Mahomes. That's how little Mahomes I have. Not a share of Jalen Hurts. Very little Joe Burrow. Kind of surprises me too, but that's how this went. Running backs, 33% McCaffrey, 31% Saquon, 31% J.K. Dobbins. No, that's out the window. But he got me through a round. Can't be mad about it. 26% James Cook, 21% Mixon. I'm over the field basically on all these guys in this range, I would guess. So, Walker's dead. Singletary, Zeke. Again, I'm very tied to the Niners. There was nothing I said earlier that was untrue. And we'll hit one more draft here. Just bear with me so people can see my exposures. Gabe Davis, 40%. A lot of Gabe. I like that. 31% Diggs. So I have a lot of Buffalo SF, I think. So that is my big hope to get to the Super Bowl. CeeDee Lamb, still well represented. Double the field there. Dawson Knox, 29%. Chase. Actually, pretty much all my pass catchers are still live besides DK Metcalf. So that's a good thing. But yeah, those are my teams. So who's the weirdest one? Christian Watson down here at 2%. Good advance rate guy. Great for the locker room. All right, let's go. Let's hit one more Mitten Returns. I'm locking it in now, counting it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're in. As over as that seen my Purdy exposure, he is not, but I was not a Brock Purdy sniper. So that's the issue that I would think I approached Brock Purdy the right way. I only have stacked Purdy's. I don't think I have. If I have any unstacked Purdy, it was completely accidental. And I was like trying to backdoor something. But all my Purdy's, all my beautiful Purdy's, my pretty Purdy's, they are all in fact stacked up. So I would think I would be safe from his ire there. But I love Brock Purdy. There's, I actually did the thing that I hate. Some guy tweeted me like when I first posted one of my lineups, like, "Oh, fun team, but Brock Purdy has no chance to advance over Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and those guys." And I was like, okay. And I went back and liked the guy's tweet saying that after Purdy went off. I was in that mood. I felt like I've been directionally very right on Brock Purdy. And that's one thing too to keep in mind with the draft process, because I was talking about this with our Football Outsiders staff this week. Brock Purdy was not a highly touted prospect, and he had no advanced analytics that supported him last year, but he landed in the right situation, and then he ends up being this world beater at QB. So something to keep in mind there, that sometimes just having a guy who's like okay in every stat in the NFL draft, but he lands with like a genius coach can be enough to propel him. And I think I talked about it with John over on the Badge Bros briefly on Twitter too. The whole thing with Brock Purdy is he's just a vessel to great players and great coaching. And I think that's enough for him. So I'm comfortable with my Brock Purdy shares for sure. Like I feel very bullish about them. In fact, even though the Dak shares have a lot more love now, I think after what we saw Monday night, Dak was a man on fire on Monday night. Hey, so we got Seth here in the 2 spot. Wabi, all right, let's go. Who gets upset this weekend? So Pete and my bracket was correct completely through round 1. So if we're going to go off of what we had in round 2, I think we had the Chiefs losing to the Jags and maybe the Giants losing too. I forget how we did that. But we will talk about it on tomorrow's show for sure. So I think those would be my picks in relative to what we've already picked. But I don't think there's a crazy upset this week, unless we're going to say the Cowboys are a big upset. I think that's the most live one. All right. What do? We can get McCaffrey. I think we can get Purdy. Let's see if we can do that. Just short gamer being at the turn makes this likely to be a more logical draft, I think. I'm hoping short gamer is kind here. We can get ourselves a little taste of big wiener Brock here in this version of playoff best ball. See, I was thinking this for a moment, and I kind of have walked back on the Giants just because it is important to remember the Giants beat the most overvalued Vikings team, who's one of the most overvalued playoff teams in the last 2 decades. Now they're going against the Eagles, who were legitimately an appropriately valued team, who had the one weak spot against the rush, and then they shored that up, and then it wasn't a weak spot anymore. So I just think the Giants are probably, if they get there, it's entirely through coaching. The issue is like coaching too, like, Sirianni is as good of a coach as anybody out there. So I think there's it's not gonna be an advantage for Brian Daboll on that front this week. Not that Kevin O'Connell's a bad coach, but that Vikings defense is so bad. Whereas the Eagles have no real weaknesses. I don't know. The Giants will be lucky to keep it competitive, would be my thought. Oh, you're no longer Poofy Wob, Seth? All right. Seth is now a real boy. Everybody congratulate Seth on becoming an actual person. Poofy Wobbs is a great name, though. I enjoyed that. Makes you sound like you could have been a character in The Wire. Like you would have been pals with Method Man's character Cheese. Like, oh, yeah, Poofy Wobbs is on the corner. He's got this. That's what that's what that name would have been. Anyway, point being, I would not have ditched the Poofy Wobbs brand, even though I'm glad to know the real you, Seth. Glad to know the real you. Poofy Wobbs could be a rapper, like right now, like with a SoundCloud. Luke is gonna be listening to Poofy Wobbs records when he's growing up, wearing fucking backward. Well, I don't even know. Wearing his jeans down low. God, I hope Luke is not like me when I was a teen. When I grew up in the South Bronx, I was wearing FUBU. I was dressing like I was more Puerto Rican than the 1/8 I actually am, for sure. And I could say that because of the 1/8. I think if the Eagles win their next 2 to get to the Super Bowl, one game he puts up 40 an underdog and pushes a bunch of Hurts teams through. I'm not sure which guy you're talking about. Oh, are you saying Hurts will do that? I would be pretty upset about that as somebody with no Hurts left in the main tournaments. All right, we got 1 stack here for Kittle. We will take that gladly. Did not get Debo, but honestly, I think Debo's a little bit overvalued because of that one game. Boy, though, there were a lot of snaps of Debo in the backfield, huh? That's something that kind of worries me here because it does feel like Debo's going to pull from McCaffrey enough and open up enough value for himself because they basically treated him like they had 2 Christian McCaffreys in that game, which was terrifying and incredibly fun to see. Okay, yeah, so you just talk about Hurts. Yeah, man, I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. Can Brock Purdy outscore Jalen Hurts in the right situation? I think so. But obviously, he would need to get to the Super Bowl. Oh, boy. Dunham's team is catastrophic right now. This guy right here in the 5 hole. Kelsey, Brown, Juju, Barkley. Guess he's going to be playing for a Giants Super Bowl. All right. Let's get, oh, we still got Ayuk. But Gabe is honestly a good play. Let's just get our 4-man. Let's get our 4-man. All right, so we're now good. We need obviously one more part from an opposite conference team in the Super Bowl, but we should have enough to get a full roster, so that's good. That's true. Brock Purdy did just score 34, so we know he's going to be live to do that every single game moving forward. That was the part, though, that made me love Purdy for the wild card because he had the best matchup defensively overall. I guess you can make the case, Justin Herbert had a little bit softer one, but, not the coaching to take advantage of it. Hopefully he'll have that next year. Purdy had the softest matchup by far, I guess, besides Daniel Jones. In this round, he's going against the Cowboys, and but again, he's just a vessel for Kyle Shanahan being a genius, so I'm willing to make that bet, but boy, with what the Cowboys showed, there's going to be a lot of pressure coming to Brock Purdy's way. I'm actually going to dig into some of the SIS numbers for Purdy under pressure and stuff more today, or maybe tomorrow. But I'm going to do it at some point before this weekend because I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does with just the Cowboys coming hard after him time and time again. And you would think they're going to open up a lot of checkdowns underneath for Christian McCaffrey, but the Cowboys also swarmed to the ball at a really good rate too. They were negative EPA on running back throws. So that was something that kind of spooked me on Monday night. I think that's something that could be a problem for Purdy in this game too. All right. Let's get... I'm going to take Dawson Knox. So we're now live for another San Francisco Buffalo Super Bowl. We'll take that. And we'll see what else we can get here. McCaffrey, Purdy, Kittle, Ayuk, Knox. Really don't need to take another running back. Like now, obviously I did that last round with Miles Sanders too. Ended up taking a running back late. But like I think with McCaffrey builds, unless you have a running back that really works out and looks good to you, I don't think you need to take another running back on top of McCaffrey. And I say that as somebody that advanced with a lot of like Dobbins and Barkley and whatever, along with McCaffrey. But I think for this particular format, I think there's an advantage to just having McCaffrey at running back. That's a good point. Dan Quinn is interviewing for jobs. I think that's part of why too. Like Dallas, like tremendous offensively. Kellen Moore is interviewing for jobs. Dan Quinn looked tremendous defensively. He's interviewing for jobs. I think maybe they're just like, maybe it's not a distraction point as much as it is a motivator for them to actually call good games or like, I don't know. It strikes me as odd though, that those two guys who've had certainly their ups and downs, more so Dan Quinn. But it is tough. It is tough, especially going against the Niners. Like you could get away with that, I think, going against Tom Brady, just knowing that, oh, this guy doesn't want to get hit. And also like, he's going to try to get rid of the ball so he doesn't get hit. That's easier to go against than like Brock Purdy has a million weapons and also one of the best coaches in the league. So how do you beat that? I don't know. All right. We're on the clock here. Kadarius Toney fell. That's what I was hoping for. The thing that was like, we're a little more live for Buffalo here than I would have thought. I would like to be open for 2 Super Bowls, though. So, yeah, let's just do Kadarius Toney. James Cook would be a nice pick here, though. 26 ADP, and he's going to go at 33 or later. That's a nice pick. You could have talked me into that one. Either way, though, we're live for SF with Buffalo. We're live for SF with Kansas City now. So that to me seems like the higher priority. I think the Niners, if I were going to put money on it, I guess I would take the Niners to win the NFC right now over the Eagles. I think the Eagles are good, but I think it's very possible that both the Chiefs and the Eagles lose in their championship round. Obviously, it's I think that's what I would pick. I think it's not just possible; it's obviously very possible. But that would be my pick right now. I think, which sucks. The Cowboys. I think the Cowboys could have beaten the Eagles this week if they had gotten that draw, but they got the matchup they got. James Cook falls again. I think it's just time to take James Cook. This is too good of a value. We'll get our 2-man stacks a different way. Really didn't need a running back with McCaffrey. This is too good of a spot for 14 spots after ADP for a guy who like actually gets snaps and might be ahead of Singletary in the pecking order for the playoffs. I like this build. Could use one more Chief. And we're going to get him in the form of Mecole Hardman. Everybody's afraid of old injured Mecole Hardman, but we don't need him this week. We just need him to be there at the end of it all. He must be really injured, though. Like, if he was back in practice, then got hurt again, and now he's not even back at practice, seems like it's a bad scene. T-Law always wins on Saturdays. Chiefs are going to lose. That's my hot take. That's true. He's not lost on a Saturday since high school, I believe, is the tale of Trevor Lawrence. I think there's some positive stuff for them. I think they're just not quite ready yet. Like, to me, the Jags feel like, I mean, the best example I always come up with is before Michael Jordan won his NBA titles, where he kept losing to the Pistons. Like, that's what always stands out to me. And I was barely alive then, so I don't even I don't remember it mentally. But watching the anecdotes and stuff like that, where you just kind of have to get over that hump. And I feel like I've seen that same thing time and time again, where it's like, this team has potential. These players are good. They're just not ready to go all the way yet. And I think next year, the Jags, where you add in Ridley to that formula and then hopefully get a little better defensively, like, that's when I think they make their run. I think this is the one where they put up fight, but get dusted. And that's sort of how it goes. And Trevor Lawrence learns from it. They learn from it. They improve. They come back. AFC is like very live for the next few years, because you hope that Herbert's going to get better. Lawrence is in a good spot. The Jags team overall is in a good spot, with good coaching as well. Like, Doug Peterson's been a huge upgrade. That's like a money 5 teams with the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Jags, the Chargers. If the Broncos somehow get Sean Payton and he salvages kind of whatever Russell Wilson's going to have in his dying days here, that's a good one. All right, I've taken a lot of Shakir. I think to complete my Buffalo 3-man here, I am going to take Cole Beasley instead. Do you think Beasley's overvalued? But I've now taken shares of McKenzie and Shakir and Beasley, and that feels about right. I think one of those guys has a room to get there, not more than that. And we'll see. There's one controversial pick that I would like to take next. Yeah, I'm not worried about Hardman this week, short gamer. I think it's more like I just want him to be there next week or, the week after. But he's not going to play this week. I already assumed he wasn't going to play because he hasn't been in practice. He's got to be in practice and get a full weekend. But you got to figure, we still do have basically 4 weeks before the Super Bowl. So I think he can be out there when it matters the most. And that's my hope for this build, because obviously the Niners will be doing the lion's share of the work for this team. Or hopefully they'll be doing the lion's share of the work. All right, let's see. All right, we're going to close this one out with a very controversial man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Come on down. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, CEH, Kittle, Ayuk, Knox, Tony, Hardman, Beasley. So we've got 2-man receiver groupings from the Bills and the Chiefs. We got running backs from the Bills and the Chiefs. And of course, we have our core 4 Niners, where we didn't get Debo, but it's really the only part we're missing here. And I have more than enough Debo advancing otherwise. So that looks pretty good. All right. I think that's going to be it for today, unless the chat's dying for one more, but I feel like we've covered enough here. CEH is a guy you need. How can I top that? Yeah, let's call it a quits here. So if that's the drafts for today, guys, I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. I should pull this chat down before I go. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. If you're watching after the fact, I always try to reply. And I actually always do reply to comments. So please leave a comment down below if you're watching after the fact. I appreciate it a bunch. Let me go big screen here. Follow me at Chris Spags and follow this show at Splash Play Pod. We continue to grind 5 days a week here. Best ball season is coming up faster than you realize. NFL draft is going on in mere weeks right now. My prep work will continue on this channel every single week, digging into the advanced data, trying to find some edges for ourselves. But I genuinely appreciate each and every one of you who hangs out with me and plays along with me on Underdog as well. And of course, don't be afraid to use that promo code SPLASH and Underdog to double your deposit up to $100. But I appreciate all of you hanging out. Wish you guys the best of luck, and come back tomorrow 10 a.m. for me and Pete Overzet going head to head and trying to keep our perfect playoffs going. Appreciate you guys. See you soon.